So first of all, thanks a lot for a marvelous performance.
Thank
Mélanie
you for having
Demers
us.
and Mykalle Bielinski. Mykalle.
You got it.
Yes, thank you very much. So I would start with a few questions. Whenever you then later on would like to join in, please address your questions loudly to me, and I can speak it into the microphone so everybody can hear it. My first question would be, what would you say are the essentials of a voodoo ritual?
Well, voodoo for me is, well, first of all, thank you for staying. It's wonderful to have an audience and to see a little bit of faces. You jump right into the, like the core of the question.
We don't have much time.
Okay. Voodoo for me is something that I don't necessarily own. My father is from Haiti, my mother is from Canada. So voodoo is not something that I experimented or experienced, but it's like something that has to do with a side of my spirituality, but also an attraction that is also fantasy. So when I got approached by a presenter, Roberto Casarotto, to create something around Stabat Mater, a music Stabat Mater, that was going to be performed in a church, the iconography of religion came in, and Catholic religion is how I grew up, but also I realized along the way that I was very inspired by some, we call it loa, some gods and goddesses of the voodoo religion and rites. And it's seen in the costume, but also, I guess, in the performance itself, because it asks a lot of, it's almost like a striptease that is a ritual, that becomes a ritual.
So you already went a lot farther than I thought.
We've been performing this piece for 4 years,
I would have liked to
so
ask you
that's
then,
why.
what do you think are the essentials of a pop concert or a pop star in a pop concert? What's defining that?
When we started to work together on the idea of Stabat Mater, and then I dove into the idea of what is Stabat Mater, which is the pain of the mother. It was interesting for me to make a parallel with the pop culture also, and see how women empower themselves with their sexuality, with their power at dominating an audience. So I guess that I went and I tried to like take a little bit of that, and also it's a fantasy to be on stage and take yourself for a Beyonce and try to deal with what kind of immense power that it gives, but also immense fragility that it has, with the parallel with also Virgin Mary and all the iconic women in religion. So that's how we started to work, and I was already working with Mykalle on the idea of the Stabat Mater and how to digress a little bit, and we fell onto this music Survivor by Destiny's Child, like the old band of Beyonce, and it was beautiful, the idea of the lyrics, what it says about like being a survivor in this world and trying to dominate and survive the hardship, which was beautiful, thinking that it would be Virgin Mary saying those words, or a woman in 2020 saying those words. And Mykalle did the music, the mix between the religious music and pop culture.
So this is where she called you in, and of course this would have been my question. The German we would say Spagat, so the ends of the how do you say the edges of the music panorama can be not more distant than the music you were talking about. So how is it possible to get that together?
It's still a question for me, like all the time. I don't know. There's something like with the idea of the icon and grace. I think grace is a great key word for that, because in the religious spectrum and the pop culture spectrum, there's something immense and that glows a lot. And I think bringing like the voice, I work mainly voice, so for me it was essential to bring that idea, that contemplation within the voice and within the tracks that we remixed, like the Stabat Mater and also the Survivor song track. So I don't know, by taking some parts of it out of its context and remixing with other elements, with the image and the dance, it gives something holy in a way that is, I don't know, poetic. And the sacred is also that spark. It's poetry and something that is meaningful at the same time. So
it's true that we played a lot with what is sacred and what is trivial, like trying to make something trivial sacred and trying to take something sacred and make it trivial. So like this idea of like the friction between those two poles were at the center of the creation.
And that's why you chose the format of a striptease then?
It's a good question. I don't know how we came to... I think because we worked with the costume right from the start, and it's so constrictive. Like I had to get out of it because it's like I can't even breathe in it, and it's very uncomfortable. So like I couldn't stand like being in this costume for so long. So, but it's beautiful to think that a striptease can be very trivial, but at the same time getting naked, like to see the nakedness of a body or the fragility of a body is something that is holy and beautiful.
And the
graceful.
authenticity too. The authenticity, like at the end with the performance, and like there's nothing else than your laugh and your presence. And
so it's an act of liberation then?
It's true that I feel very free when I do it, especially the last part, where I have to get to a point where I can't really care too much about what people think. So it becomes very liberating in this sense, yeah.
So, is it a feministic act, what we're seeing here?
I don't create in the idea that I have like something to defend. I create, and people put words on what I do. So I've been told before that my work is feminist. I've been told before that my work is very political, and I'm willing to take it. But if doing that is feministic, it's weird, because it's just like, like being like totally human. So if in the world we live in, it has to have like this label, I'm willing to take it, for sure.
In German theater, there has been a lot of discussions about blackfacing and about this kind of colonialistic act of taking a role of a black person by a white actor. And my question would be, you're kind of covering parts of your body with a white breast, so is this a kind of white breasting as a response?
Well, whitewashing, I'm white breasting. Walter, I must say, like, I've been performing this show for 4 years. It's the first time that I have this question. It's amazing. I think it's beautiful how creation works, because for me, creation is a series of accidents. And the way that I envision creation is like something that is beyond me. So I'm not controlling everything with a creation, and I don't want to, because it becomes more interesting when I'm not really able to control. So the idea of a striptease came, and I was not really willing to be like totally naked, because we were going to perform it. The premiere was in a church, so we couldn't, like, I couldn't be naked. So the idea of covering my breast came. And then you go to, I live in Montreal, so I go to a store to find breasts, and those are the breasts that I find. I never found like black.
No black breasts.
It doesn't exist in Montreal. Had I, but if I lived, I don't know where, like if I lived like somewhere in, like Africa perhaps, I would find that. Although, I'm not really sure about what I'm saying right now. But it's interesting to think that it doesn't exist, or it doesn't exist in my world, and then like putting that on me, I'm fully aware of what the image that it creates. And it's beautiful to have the whiteness of the skin on a black body. I think it's just like create a tension, it creates a dissension, it creates, like discomfort, and all of that is part of the creation. Yes, no, yes.
There is
because I don't see your faces, so like right now you're in the position of power. You can like make me paranoid.
This is political. It has nothing to do with Corona. This is the Corona Antifa here. But it's not allowed anymore. There are some choreographers, female choreographers around who have the position to use the female body, and also exposing the female body as a political act, as an act of liberation, as an act of self-determination, and taking all rights to expose themselves, not only in dance, but also, of course, sometimes in political acts like the group Femen or whatever, or some of the Pussy Riot members. My question would be, do you think or if you think of that context, how would you see yourself as an artist trying to be political in your work, and which role is your body playing in that?
Can you repeat that question?
How do you see yourself? Because you said your work is being addressed as being political, and you seem to like that statement. So I wanted to ask you if you see yourself as a political artist, and how do you use or understand your body in that context?
I think especially in those times where performing is such a privilege, like it's my first performance in 6 months, it does become political in that sense, in the way that we have, as an artist, like I have to believe at least that what I do is necessary, and in this world it's really hard to believe that. So in this sense, yeah, I would say it's quite political in those times to perform and to travel to perform, because as you were getting in, I was like, oh my God, we came all the way here to perform in front of 40 people. What a crazy idea, but at the same time, what a beautiful idea. So I really have to embrace the paradox. So yes, it's very political. I see myself as an artist who observes the world and comment on it, so it becomes political, but also I would like to extract myself from that angle once in a while, and be free to just be. So it's, you know, like I travel from, you know, like one side to the other.
So do you mean like being free as not having to put your own body somehow into question?
Yes, it's true, because, you know, like when I was asked to do this project, Roberto, the presenter, was like specific about me performing it, and I'm not a performer anymore. I performed quite a lot in my youth, but he was like really insisting on the idea and working on myself, like being a black woman of a certain age. Like everything I am is, you know, like out of the realm of what we see usually. So yes, I like this material because it's unusual, but it's very usual to me, but it's unusual to you.
Another unusual question? No? Were you dancing all your life or performing?
I started to dance when I was a little girl, like taking ballet classes, and I stopped because my body was not, you know, like the body of a ballerina, and I decided to do theater. So I started to do theater and music a little bit, and then theater also had, like, I had my problem with theater because of the casting, because of, you know, like who I am. So like I came back to contemporary dance and found a platform that, you know, offered me more freedom. So yes, I danced all my life, and I performed for many companies and choreographers after, and then I founded my company in 2007 now, and I've been working with Mykalle since this project. No, since 2015. So we work together. Yeah, like for 5 years.
So your most recent piece, Danse Moutante, is going to premiere at the next Festival Trans-Amérique, you said? No?
No, Danse Moutante, we already premiered it, and we're touring it. We're going to tour it in Europe next year, if the virus allows us. But my next piece is going to premiere at FTA, and it's a quartet for 4 women, yeah, in 2021, yeah.
So, since you created this piece in Bassano del Grappa during a residency, sometimes it feels like you have to go out from your regular contexts in order to create something really special. And I very much also insisted in having this here with you performing. And thanks a lot for traveling so far, taking all the efforts, and even a part of your family who was very attentive during the piece, but a discussion with a German producer must be rather boring. So in that sense, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the night. Thanks a lot for your attention, and I'm very happy that you're here. Not only you, but also you,
yes,
because
thank you
you
very much.
give a reason to all of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.